We are first and foremost friends, and coincidentally, we are both mothers, I would say.
We had all this creativity that we weren't sure about where to put it, but when we got together, we just had time to brainstorm on some creative projects that we were very keen on, or we were very fond of.
And I think when you become a parent, you become very conscious of the fact that every single second counts. And I think the idea of combining both an interesting person to spend time with a project, a commercial project, is a wonderful thing. I sort of am a writer, and so writing marketing copy, and when I had kids I made the progression over to creative writing and writing specifically for children, which is something that I've always been passionate about.
My role is my knowledge as a psychotherapist, and so my angle is looking at the issues that we are looking at through the lenses of psychology. In private practice I do work with anger a lot, but my desire would be for bringing the conversation to a wider audience. I always wanted to invite people to think about anger, and I know that can be done in the privacy of the therapy room. And yet I think that this is such an important subject that I needed to be able to convey concepts which are talked about in psychotherapy, psychology, but I wanted to make them, I wanted to translate them into a language which could be accessible to everyone. The book is full of psychotherapy, but I wanted to take all the clinical language out of it. So we really work together at doing this. So psychotherapy is there, but it's talked about in different ways.
Anger the Ancient Warrior was really born out of a need, a deep need within the market for a book that wasn't shaming about anger. I think both of us feel that anger is an inevitable part of family life.
And as we confronted our way to be parents, and we had to find also ways to be compassionate to ourselves as parents, we wanted to put something creatively in to find ways to honor the kids, but also be compassionate to ourselves as parents. And anger was one of those territories in which it's very difficult to combine all of that.
We both saw that there is a strange dichotomy in society. On the one hand, you have got anger seen as a positive force in a political sphere, for instance, but in the personal, it's something that people feel a lot of shame about. So you would never say proudly, you would never talk about the fact that your child was angrily asserting their boundaries. That's not something that was ever celebrated, yet that is celebrated in the public domain, in the public sphere. The idea that anger is something that is often seen as deeply shameful for kids is problematic in itself, I think.
For kids and parents. In my family, we didn't do anger. Anger wasn't the thing to do. And I learned that was it. It wasn't. It was, as has been mentioned, it was okay in the political sphere, but it was not okay to express it inside the household. So once I became a mom and I had kids and I got in touch with this anger, I didn't know what to do with it. I didn't know how to relate to it. I didn't know if it was good, it was bad, what do I do now with it? And I thought that there was a real need for discussing it with other moms. But I found that was a kind of a taboo subject that nobody was very willing to openly talk about. And then I thought, okay, so here we are, there is a need here. We need to create a platform. We need to start talking about the taboo, the
And I also found the process of writing the book incredibly cathartic, because I felt as though I was acquiring new skills as we sat down to write the book together. So I, a sense of gratitude towards the book in terms of what I have learnt about my own anger, and the way that we communicate anger within our household has definitely changed, and we're more literate. We're more able to say, look, Mum, my son's able to say, Mum, you're not actually angry with me for not putting my shoes on. You're angry with his little sister for not putting down the tablet, for playing on electronics, and it's just me you're taking it out on right now because, we're running late. When you begin to be able to articulate why you're feeling angry, I think this is what we were seeking to do with the book, is help children to develop the language and the skills that they need to be able to understand why they're feeling angry. And anger is an essential emotion. It's there as a boundary setter. It is there to stop other people from invading our space. We need, sometimes anger is an absolute necessary emotion to say to people, no, wait a minute, hold on, I am not happy with that. And I think to tell children that they are never allowed to express anger is to tell children that they are not allowed to establish those boundaries in that way.
What we decided to focus on is what is at the core of anger, which is the element of fire. And fire as an element can become something that is out of control and can really burn other people. But also we thought that it would be interesting to look at how people can start developing mastery over the element of fire, how it can become an element which is necessary, as Sara was saying, and it can bring some light, it can shed some light to the issues that are making us angry, rather than becoming a tool for distraction. So we worked a lot with the fire element in a way that fire is also a very primitive element, if you like. Anger, the ancient warrior, comes because fire was necessary to keep away wild animals in danger, and it needed to be mastered. And this is it. We are using it as a metaphor for an emotion, which is a very ancient emotion again, and yet we need it, and yet it needs to be known, understood, and used in a different way.
It's a story with a workbook element. So it's got a lot of interactive exercises to help children sit comfortably with anger over the course of their workbook, and really look at trying to broaden their understanding of what anger is as emotion, and how it affects them, how it affects their body, how they see themselves, and it also role plays through a few scenarios within the story, and just showing how common examples of anger can simply, anger can be triggered sometimes by things that are going on internally inside us, not necessarily a threat that is coming from outside. The book's aimed at children from the age of 8 to 12. I mean, I think it's aimed at anyone above the age of 8. So I think it's aimed from 8 all the way up to 108. I think you are talking about a book that will give any reader of any age group pause for thought. It's looking at analysing why we get angry, how we get angry, and how we can live comfortably with that anger. If you are a child that's very sensitive, you may get more angry than some of your other friends, but that's not a problem. I want to tell kids that do suffer from angry outbursts. It's okay.
We're very keen to have a story and to have an interactive part for the children, but we were also very keen to have a section which would be a section for adults, because another thing that is associated with anger and shame, especially for children, is that sometimes we assume that it's just the children who need to work at their anger, as if the adults are sorted. But children are very clever, and they can very well see that adults are not in control of their own anger sometimes, and they can see how then adults might become patronizing. So what we wanted to say to adults is, let's get this opportunity to be curious about your own anger, so you can grow together, you can grow alongside your child. So parents and children can grow together, because each one of them has got an opportunity to look into that and see where it comes from. What is it that is in reality everyone is trying to express there? So this last section, which has got a reference to the website, has got a link to the publisher's website,
because we've got further material on the website for we basically are hoping we will encourage as many adults as possible to really engage with the book as much as their children.
Yes. I feel that it is the joy for me of working at this project is that I think that this book is a four-hands book. I mean, we really work organically at it. Every single image, every single word, every single concept, every single reference has been really a blend of our own different opinions, ideas, takes on life, discussions, conversations, and this is why I treasure it so much.
And I think that the fact is that every single word that is on those pages has been justified by one or other of us to each other, and I think we finished the book. We felt that we had achieved our goal of writing a book about anger without judgment. We decided to approach Jessica Kingsley Publishers because they seemed like the perfect publishers for the book, and we thought we were going to go for it. We were going to send it out. I actually wanted to wait for 2 weeks. I don't know why, but Sara insisted we sent it out there and then, and we sent it out there and then, and what was really nice was within half an hour we had a response. And it was completely an unsolicited manuscript, and the response was, "This is just the kind of thing we're looking for." It was so carefully put together, and we were both so passionate about it and believed in it so much that I think that obviously came out of the page.
We reflected on the timing of this book in a way that we have been locked in within our with our families, within households for such a long time, and we had to confront anger in an unprecedented way. We had to confront restlessness in an unprecedented way, and so maybe this book will help.
The book was sent off to the printers by the publishers at the very start. I think it was sort of 4 days before lockdown began. The book got sent away, and then lockdown happened, and obviously we're releasing it still in sort of semi-lockdown. And I think I think it's just, we could not have foreseen that we would have lived through the kind of times that we have just lived through, where every household will have had to endure the pressure cooker of living together in these strange times. And I really hope that it can be as helpful to other families as it has been to my own, because I found it incredibly helpful. So
I really hope that this book can become a starting point for conversations, conversations in families, in schools, really for conversations around anger. I really hope it will be life-changing stuff for someone. Yes.